But today, on Citizen's Microphone, we take you to Red Top. It's a suburb of Kaswa where residents want their bad roads fixed. They say it's become too expensive to live there because they always have to spend a lot to fix their cars. We'll be hearing from the residents and also engage the Member of Parliament for the area, Sylvester Tete. My colleague, Bernice Abubeidu Lanza, is standing by on that. Bernice, what do you have to share with us on this situation from where you are?
Find out from residents how the terrible roads here are affecting them. Over the weekend, there were heavy rains, and we saw, as usual, a lot of floodwaters and silt deposited on the main highway coming from the West Hills Mall towards McCarthy Hill. But the big question is, where does all the silt come from, and what impact is being visited on the area that this silt is coming from? And that's why this morning we're here. Come all the way from the top, Red Top is called, down towards Botiano. And I'm here to speak to some of the residents here who are really upset about the nature of the roads. I have Emmanuel here with me. Emmanuel, let's say.
Sister.
Now, yeah, Banumi, who saw Kano Ediechi. A quino is saying that a from beginning, and I say, a dene cause quino, you know, to be this way. Now, how is it affecting you?
Sister, a quino say. Once area no every need develop more nice than you need go to there's the main problem. You need go to in so to untimi nko ofie even so wo shapa car ye de bakura edin so betimi di aba nti yesro na akufado yesre no na ni nhwe ye no mo ye kakra nti na akufado do ye niam o ye bi pa ne mo ye ha de yesre no eye akwasa eye Botiano English amam from akwasa area ye ne to abama MPP pa nti yesre no ye road no ehia ye me ameka me ye delegate ama eye din e ma ye nti yesre na do se omo ye na ye kwan no wontimi ye bibi kakra ye de ma ye.
So Emmanuel says he's lived here for quite some time. He tells me the road has not always been this bad. He believes that the terrible nature of the road is as a result of the lack of gutters in the area. When it rains, they're unable to go to their homes. He's pleading with the president. He says that they really vote for the NPP here and they would want the president to do something about the bad roads for them. Intinu Sisiano, osi insuota muntimi nkomufie, inti insuota amoyeding.
Sister, so ukutaka ni nsu ato na ya this one opakeka ni si baby na ja onante na okofia akoda because untimi emfaka nan kwan nye asai amna even one hwe ekura na nsu oto a nyame ahwe amfafie betima kumobi because enkola wa ha na se akola wo free school ba na nsu oto a akola de betima wu gota no hwa ekofo mpa ntia se no onye bibi ma yen
na edian na wo say wo ye delegate MPs were ho MP there onumponya no twakwan more local government reps were ha MCE ni DCE there no more catch mo afa ekwan na yomunya ni ye no ho
sister de oka na ewom sade nanso ni nyina ne se be president because ye hu wo mo a omo so omo guso omo ye bibi nanso ye wo ha de ye nhye dan hu nti de se omo be ye bibi a ne ye be hu so ye bibi ye hu se wo bia ye de ye nim fanisem nye delegate minim nhyehyaya ekoso wo ho ebede mahu nti yesre no on de animanimu ye o ma no honye ha no onye bibi maye ye de yesre no anu no so o ma no honye ha no onye bibi maye.
So Emmanuel says that when it rains, sometimes they have to park their vehicles. He's worried because there are children around who could drown as a result of the floods. He's saying that he admits that they have an MCE and a DCE, a local government authority responsible for development in the area. But he's appealing directly to the president for something to be done about the bad nature of the road. And look, I've been driving on this road all the way from the West Hills Mall upwards to Red Top and coming down. And I must confess, the roads are really terrible here. It will take you about 10 minutes to do a trip that you could do in about 3 minutes. Well, you've just heard from Emmanuel. There are a couple other residents here who are gathered here looking at what is happening. They're all concerned about the roads. Would you want to talk to me, sir? Right. Okay. What's your name?
Patrick.
Patrick.
Yeah.
What do you think about the nature of the roads here and what are your concerns?
Enya kura se yakasa ha yen kran kura wonjini because yen kran ye kwan to say dey yese na say na chika ye no aha na ye nyina ye wo ona bo ye na wa ha yese se kwan na ya anya de a anwa kura ba ye nto ye decide sa say ya anya kwan na ye nto aba because ye nto aba na ye mai ko school mu mewu ya mai ko nsu oto na fa ye ma bi mu ye ni obi a ye ka kire no nti de nyame ase wa bebisa ye ndie na na hu se ye ni abrepa because kwan na nya akra ko school na nsu oto agota ebefa no nti me ba wu ameto aba nti se ya anya kwan na afi no vote.
Right. So this is Patrick. Patrick is delighted that we are here today to highlight their plight, but he is also saying that if the president doesn't fix the road, they will not vote in the next elections. He says that he's concerned about the safety of children, and so he wants the president to do something about it. Patrick, mami bisa a question last one. Intino equino affecting more economy, like more kwe juma more tibiano generally no equino sena is he affecting more.
Sometimes ya free more na ya ba adwuma wo bot ya no kokoro bi tenu kra de se wan kofa barrier untimi nkwa adwuma nso to kese ya edo da bi kra nya ka na enko wuni pa kra untimi nante enko enti ya adwuma se mu nyina mu de kwan na ha adwen ebi wo ha wo ba higher site ntu be fa ka na de fa cement na de kwa site ka no fa na ebedo untimi nko at the end of the day no se wo koye mortar concrete ni ade wo mo a unya adwuma bia na se day no kwan no nti we daily blood above.
Right. So I missed something he said in the early part. He said if you were told that this is part of Accra, you won't believe it because the roads are terrible. But I was just finding out from him how their daily bread, their economy is affected as a result of the roads. He says that sometimes it's extremely difficult if you have to come from the West Hills Mall down towards Botiano when it rains, unless you use the barrier route. And he says that sometimes you don't end up doing any work if you're doing by day, what we call by day, those who assist in construction and all that. And at the end of the day, your daily bread is lost. Thankfully, I have the MP for the area here with me, Slight Tete, MP for Botiano English amount from. You've heard your people. They are concerned about the nature of the road. Whenever it rains, and we've been doing this story for almost 5 years running on the impact of the rains on the main road down there, we are told all the sand comes from here, and so the erosion, it's not surprising what we see here, the deep gullies and all. I know you're not responsible for roads. That is not your main mandate as an MP, but tell us what you know about the progress in trying to work on the roads here.
Well, thank you very much. And let me say a very big thank you to Joy News and for multimedia for having joined hands with me to ensure that we bring government attention to the challenges of roads in this constituency. I'm grateful to Omanhene Dominic Isiyebwa lives here. And for that matter, Friday, if you had followed me, Friday, the whole ecosystem program was dedicated to roads in Botiano English Amanfrom. My people who follows me knows that consistently I've been in the media space and even in Parliament advocating for the concerns of this area to be heard by central government. And indeed, the road minister 3 months ago was here. He came here to spend 1 hour with us. He ended up spending 4.5 hours to assess the nature of roads here. My job as an MP, first of all, I don't have capacity to construct roads, but I have every capacity to lobby and advocate for government attention to be brought on the roads here. And that I've been doing fairly. That is why I don't shy away from letting people know the state of our roads. And government has heard it in good faith. As I speak to you, the youth here can also become like other youth elsewhere who will be vandalizing, demonstrating and all that. But they haven't done that. It tells you the calm and the peaceful nature of the residents here. In fact, to say the roads are bad is an understatement. I mean, it's not, you can't call it a road. When the minister came here with his V8, including myself, at the point we got stuck. And the minister had to come out from the vehicle for the vehicle to be able to access the road. Look, it's terrible. And I think that so far, a fair assessment has been done on this road. Currently, about 40 kilometers of road has been earmarked for award of a contract. And from where you came from West Hills Mall, I'm happy to announce that 2.5 kilometers has been signed to the Chinese company that has a Sunda factory. Their subsidiary construction company has been awarded 2.5 kilometers of road to begin. In fact, they promised to have started last month. I don't know, I called them yesterday. I'll be following up on progress of work with respect to that portion. Yes, they delayed
but
because...
has money been dispersed to them yet?
Well, the difficulty we have, a number of roads have been awarded to contract. In fact, yesterday I spoke to one contractor that I'm writing to the ministry to terminate the contract. Every contractor cries of no money. But the sad thing is that you give a contractor a job. The person comes to the site and do maybe 5% drains and then begin to raise certificate for government to give him money to come and continue. Such people would not be qualified as contractors. As a contractor, when you are on site, you should do a substantial work for people to know you are working for. Then we can all plead with government to give you. Government every day keep paying contractors, but of course, we still owe contractors. That is a fact. Our economic situation, we all know. So when you are in the middle of it, you can understand why some of these things delays. But of course, whilst it's ongoing elsewhere, and the contractors we are speaking to, and this road, the nature of road, is not any contractor that can work on this road. You need some experienced contractor to be able to work on this road. Otherwise, whatever you do will just be eroded away by the rain because of the heavy rain that is coming. So it's terrible. We reckon that the roads here is terrible. The minister had visited, the minister had charged the engineers, and they've done a fair assessment. About 40 kilometers of roads have been identified that they are critical road to enhance livelihood in this place. So they should be worked on immediately. And that one, we are going through the procurement processes to ensure that we have a contractor well experienced who has capacity to be able to do. Those contractors who come, 5% they raise certificate, they want government to pay. Until government pay, they don't come to the road. By the time they come, what they've done has been destroyed. Those contractors have resisted the temptation of bringing such contractors here because we have about 5 different roads that have been awarded to contractors. Look, when you go to Chokome from Botiano, you go to Chokome, from Chokome Junction to Chokome, it's less than a kilometer of road. It's been awarded to a contractor for 4 years. He did the drains and he abandoned it. If you go to Finlay Hospital, when I was coming, I was on the phone with a resident who has a pharmaceutical shop over there. They've destroyed the drain in front of the man, and the man has been denied his livelihood for the past 1 year. And these are unacceptable conduct that we cannot take.
But for 4 years, why have we sat on for 4 solid years for this to linger?
I've been an MP for 2 years. If you had followed my media advocacy about the nature of roads here, I will consistently look in the last 4 years. Before the Samuajan Road, it's been worse than this. Through MPP, it's been constructed, it's been tarred. Those in this area can attest to that. Some road works has been done. When you go to Amman from New Botiano, roads there have been tarred and asphalted. So it doesn't mean government has not done anything.
Right.
But this particular portion has been waiting, and I believe that government has given it the necessary attention. We want the minister to expedite action to ensure that this road is done on time. That is all we are asking for. Right. And I trust that Nanado will support us to get it done.
So, Mr. Tete, you spoke about the Chinese company down there that has been awarded a contract to construct about 2.5 kilometers, you've seen. The residents who are concerned that the trucks used by some of these companies, and I saw quite a number of them driving up here, also contribute to the terrible nature of the road. In fact, right from the West Hills Mall up to that Chinese company, you can see that that road was constructed to a certain point, but the road has deteriorated, has washed away. What would you say to residents who say, how about levying these companies that use big trucks and maybe trying to pull support from some residents who can afford it, so that, you know, yes, we are all expecting government to do something, but can we look at alternatives?
My dear sister, the nature of roads here and the amount of money required to fix it, the resident coming together, they can't do it.
No, I'm not saying they should do it entirely, but together with the companies, because some of your residents are concerned that the heavy trucks are contributing to the bad roads.
The intervention of residents or the companies, if it's not properly done, obviously the trucks will still use it. That whole area, there's a huge 1D1F Sunda factory and manufacturing company there. So definitely you expect trucks to come in there. So what we are doing now, from the West Hills Mall to the Chinese factory, we are doing the concrete-based road so that the trucks don't go beyond that place, so that the resident can use it, the trucks can also access the company and do their business so that it doesn't affect anybody. So that's the discussion we've had so far. Look, there are places that we have personally intervened to be able to give the resident respite. If you go to Amman from area, in Sionano and the rest, I'll put about 50 trips of lightrite personally from my pocket to be able to grade it and give them rest. But this nature of roads, you can't do that kind of intervention here. So if you look at the nature of roads here, resident or company, don't forget, social corporate responsibility is not enforceable in our jurisdiction. So that makes it a difficulty, because that 2.5 kilometers of road will cost more than 20 million cedis. So if you ask a company to dole out a 20 million cedi, then of course the company will be looking at its shareholders whether or not they'll be able to dole out 20 million cedis. So these are things that the company I know has made intervention in the community in many areas. Clearly, I think it may not be enough as far as the road is concerned. So government had accepted the challenge that let's come in and help. It's our responsibility even to construct the road to ease business in that area. So when the person is suffering, you're asking the person to also do the road. The person will look at his balances and all that. Until corporate social responsibility becomes enforceable, no one can hold a company responsible that the road is not done. We've had conversations with them, and of course, we believe that they will be able, government will be able to do. From Botiano here all the way to West Hillsmore is a total of 6.2 kilometers. Now 2.5 kilometers has been awarded. This portion, about 3.8 kilometers, is yet to be awarded, and we are pretty much sure that soon it will be done for people to have respite.
So, on the main road, the sand or the silt that comes from here washes onto the road, and you were telling me earlier that there was one occasion you had to use how many trucks to desilt?
Yes, to desilt the road, the last time we did, 96, highway did it. And we're counting 96 strips of 20 cubic trucks that were cut from the road. When you go to Adansimine, that is where most of the silt that you see come into the main road. And then you go to the mountain where around Asamoajan area to the Tobut area, it also comes to the road. So until we fix the drains here and get the proper drain, and then rehabilitate some vegetation that have been destroyed as a result of human activity, we will continue to have this problem. So I've described this as a national security threat that we need, because assuming there's an emergency on the highway and people have to stay there for 7 hours, it is nothing but a national security threat.
There are those who are also concerned, besides the road, about the buildings on waterways and ridges and areas that should not have. So you talk about the vegetation covers being removed. So the Wager-rich area where we are told people are not supposed to be building, there are concerns that this is all contributing to the problem. So what is being done in that regard as well?
There are specific state institutions to be responsible for this. I don't usually like to answer questions for institutions who are not responsible.
I'm just asking if you are in the know of what is being done.
Places I've made statement. I've called attention of responsible ministries, departments and agencies on many occasions, but we lack the courage to pull down houses. And they know, they've identified homes that need to be pulled down to pave way for water to pass through. The residents suffer. When you go to Sampaman, when they spill the water, we went in there to support the residents. You get in there, you realize that somebody's house is actually in the waterway. And there's a huge reserve meant for the dam, so that when it's spilled, it holds the water until a set time that it subsides. But go there, they've built houses on those vegetation. So when they open the dam, obviously you will be the casualty in this instance. So we are having community engagement. The municipal chief executive was with me the last time we went. And let me remind people, when they keep referring to the municipal chief executive, obviously this nature of road, the assembly cannot do it. Never. The assembly don't have capacity to do this kind of road. You can only get attention of central government to be able to do it. And I'm happy that the minister was here. He's seen it. When you mention this place, he knows what they said. They've gone very far. I'm in touch with the chief director, and pretty soon the contractor will be coming to do the 3.9 kilometers to make up for the total 6.5 kilometers.
Now, let me move away a bit from the specifics. I mean, in talking about Botiano and its environs, development analysts have suggested that in communities such as this that develop over time, it is more prudent to build the roads as the communities develop than wait for the community to, grow as large as this before we start thinking of building the roads. Then it becomes more expensive. You need a huge sum of money. So for you, in terms of Ghana's development agenda, because this is not the only community that has terrible roads like this. Go to many communities that are springing up. It's the same story. What is your thinking about this?
We develop before we plan. In our jurisdiction, we develop before we plan. We don't plan before we develop. That's a simple answer I can give you. Look, land tenure system. Land is in the hands of individuals, families, and the rest. Here, a lot of houses are here that they don't even have permits. They finish building before they come to the municipal assembly to regularize their permits for them. And that becomes a source of revenue for the assembly. So they usually don't go to the source and deny them and pull down. So the problem is that we are always developing before we plan. So whatever we do most often is to regularize the illegality that has been perpetuated on us. So it is true, we haven't had that opportunity. So if you go to communities that are planned before, you won't have these problems. But individuals can sell their land. As we speak, people are negotiating buying land all over.
So that means that the problem will persist. So once we solve the Botiano problem, then we have to go to another place.
It is all over the country. So that is why I've always made a suggestion that we need to properly document land in this country. If you are selling land, you cannot go and build without a permit from the municipal assembly. So they will look at the development plan. Look, do you know what we call classification? What's supposed to happen here and there? You go to an industrial area, that has been a place that is earmarked for industrial light. Then people, residential houses, you go to residential areas, they are putting light industrial buildings there. Because they don't go to the assemblies, they don't go to the planners before they go, they don't know how the whole area.
And the assemblies are also inspecting and doing their rounds and checks.
You may not know. There are many houses there, the assemblies, if you go there, they don't have an idea. But thankfully, we brought something where we are doing house digital address for each and every house. I think that we should go to the extent of even lands to be able to know parcels of land that are available for building. Now every single house is identified. The assembly should have a database to ensure that this house that has been digitally given an address, whether this particular house has the proper documentation from the assembly. But I doubt, even if they don't have, whether the assemblies will have capacity and the willpower to be able to pull down houses to serve as a deterrent to people. Of course, we know our economic situation. Going to pull down somebody's house comes with a huge burden. The challenge is that I'm the one.
So in this country, it's sympathy over doing what is right. Is that it?
Most often.
But should that be the case?
It shouldn't be the case. Today, I know people when they have an issue, because they vote for you, go to seek the vote. I tell you, as I stand here, all of them, they identify me because they voted for me. I went to them to beg for vote. Assuming any of them has his building earmark to be pulled down, I'll be the first person they will call. Then the sympathy start, or they will call a pastor, they will call a relation of the municipal chief executive. So these are the challenges that we are facing, and it's not peculiar to this place. It's a nationwide problem.
Finally, Mr. Tete, you've spoken about the 2.5 kilometer stretch that has been awarded from the West Hills Mall, and then you talk about the visit by the minister and the assurances that this is on the radar of the ministry and it will be worked on. Are there any timelines?
Well, for timelines, yes, when we came, the minister, before he came here, announced on the Asempa FM that within a month. When he came here and assessed the situation, he realized that it's more difficult than perhaps he thought. So they had to redesign the place and all that. So for timelines, it also depends on the kind of contractor willing and available to invest his money. But it's a GOG project. As and when we rake in revenue, we pay them. So it's not any contractor at all you can bring here. Otherwise, many people will be willing to do it, but they may not even have the capacity to start in the first place.
Considering the economic situation we are in, which you've referenced quite a number of times in your submission, what is your estimation of when work will start on this?
Well, I wouldn't want to be speaking for the ministry, but I'll keep pushing.
Thank you so much. Sly Tete is MP for the Botiano English Amanfro constituency, and we've been talking to him about the bad nature of roads here. His constituents are all gathered here, trying to interact with him. Even as he leaves, they are concerned about the nature of the roads. Some of them have been talking to us, and they say that the bad roads are affecting their livelihoods, their children. Would you want to talk? Right, opesa okasa ye fra o saying.
Fra mo chire.
Ochire. E dey know how?
Me a taxi driver.
Okay.
Me ye adwuma wa ha ya na me lodu fi bari aba ha. In fact, kwan ne de. So de amungusu black man kra na nka kwan na se na mo fa bulldozer no me dey. Me yusu me na ka kwan ne ndem mayen. Na ka wonto ye no ne hia na se obegyina kasa bebre na kwan 2.5 kilometers na no so me ye man. I say me spare pass. Untumi nto spare pass motor phone nyina obi an spare pass untumi nto to me hwe no me onwi kwan no o de onyi kwan no ongu black on de on bedwiri so na kwan ne mu nda ho na ka ho ye dey
o say your friend saying Ochre. Okay, so Ochre is saying that enough of the talk whether 2.5 kilometers, he's not concerned about that. He's a taxi driver, and he says that at least all he wants is for the road to be leveled, at least to make it motorable, even if they will not start the project soon, or put asphalt on the road or whatever they decide to do with it. He is concerned about the terrible nature, and he wants it leveled at least. So this morning I've been coming to you from the English Amanfro constituency, and we've been talking about the bad nature of roads here. Residents want it fixed. No timelines yet, but we are told that government is working to fix the roads. Back to you, Benjamin.
Thank you for passing on the baton back to me in the studio. Bernice Abubedu Lanza out there from Red Top. top and deplorable, really, the state of their roads. But from there, we're going to be taking a break. When we return, we'll tell you about Alumni by Enterprise Life. We want to know what that is all about. We'll be giving you details. And then after that, we'd go back to Weja Tetegu and look at the situation after the spillage of the Weja Dam and people's return to that community. My colleague Maxwell Agbagba will be on that beat. All of that after the break. Do stay.